Welcome back to Make Writing Visible. I will talk in a moment about my most glamorous sweater and explain that to you and why I am wearing it for this version of Make Writing Visible. Last time we talked about observation notebooks, how you can observe closely and write your observations in a notebook so that you're adding more details to your writing. Today I'd like to talk about observation notebook activities, specific activities that you can do when you observe and you write details that will help you to have richer writing. An example, you can write about ordinary things. For example, the moon. A couple of evenings ago, the moon was so bright that I couldn't fall asleep until 3 a.m. in the morning. And what I wrote in my observation notebook was the full moon flashlight glaring, staring at me like a giant white unblinking eyeball. You could all write about something ordinary, like the moon, like your desks, your backpacks, scarves. You could take a tree in your yard or a tree in the schoolyard, and each person could write about it, and you would probably have different details. Look and see your observations and see how they are different. You could take a tree and write about it the first of every month, the first of April, May, June, and you'll notice that that tree looks different even though it is the same tree as weather and seasons change. An example of writing about something ordinary could be that everybody brings in a shoe, and you could gather all of those shoes together into one place. I have a few examples here. If everybody brings in a shoe and you put them together in one place, assign each of the shoes a number. And so then one person has to write about shoe or footwear number 1, number 2, number 3. And when they write about them on index cards, what can happen afterwards is put the cards together, mix them up, and somebody gets to pick one and read it, and they're going to have to decide which shoe it is. So fuzzy, fluffy, rainbow piggy slippers would definitely go with this article of footwear. Or someone might have chosen army colored big tread walking shoes. Army colored big tread walking shoes. Great observation somebody made. Someone else might have rainbow with extra pink, perfect for puddle hopping galoshes. And that's what these would be. Looks like they've even done a little puddle hopping. They are muddy. So take something ordinary, put them all together, and everybody does some describing. You could also try doing observations of extraordinary things. That's where my ugly sweater comes in. Our family likes to follow a different theme at holiday time, and one year we all had to wear ugly sweaters. And so in my observation notebook, what I wrote for my ugly sweater was, my couple of wild cats collide glitter sweater, because it does have different animal patterns on it, and it does have some of the shiny glitter on it. So that's how I described it in my observation notebook. You guys could have an ugly sweater day, a hat day, a backwards day, a twin day, and whatever anybody wears for that, you could write descriptions of what people are wearing in your observation notebook. Another extraordinary observation you could make, which would be fun, would be animal cams. So there are camcorders that record animals in the wild or in zoos. Look at some of those and write observations that you see as you watch the animal cams. Another activity that you could do for observations would be to do before and after observations. So you could take something like the Thanksgiving table, or you're going on a field trip, maybe to a farm or a zoo or a museum or a history house, and you've never been there before. Before you go, you could write in your observation notebook what you expect to see on that table or on that trip. But while you're there, take extra notes in your notebook, and then after you do those observations, you can add extra details to your observation notebook. A couple of more things to try with your observation notebook would be doing place observations. So you could take your school and do a behind the scenes. So what you might do is, have you been in the cafeteria or kitchen? Make a visit there and make observations. Or the custodian's cleaning closet or the principal's office. Find some place that is unusual and different and write observations about it. You could write observations about pets. Does your class have a pet? Who has pets at their house? And so you could make observations about your pets. And a final one would be to do people observations, whether they are people that you really know or whether they are people that you see in images. And what you could do is write down your observations. I searched and I found an image of this man. And when I looked at him, I thought, interesting. And what I wrote into my observation notebook was, the white-haired man's lips are sealed, and his ears have grown and grown as he has learned through the decades that listening is one of life's greatest gifts. If I ever write a story and I want to have an older man in the story, maybe I will think of this man that I found a photo of, and maybe I could add my observation that I had written about him. So those are some examples of using activities to boost your observation skills. And if you do, you will get to be better and better writers. Happy Make Writing Visible.